All right, good morning, YouTube. This is Dave with Affordable Door and Gate. Hope you are doing great, and good morning, by the way. Got a comment here. Having trouble loading and unloading sections off my van. It's going to cost me my job if I don't figure out without hurting myself or damaging sections. Any tips, please? I thought that was kind of a good question. It's one of those things that we all have to consider as we grow with age. We're all going to get old and we're all going to perish. So it's one of those things I wanted to address today. I thought it was a good topic just for some of the old bucks and some of the young bucks. And please, if you got anything, put it in the comments below and let me know your thoughts or what you have done or anything you can think of. Even if you think it's really not relevant, put it in there. Like I said, they're always welcome, and I'm glad you're here. So let's get started. All right, so you guys know that obviously I'm a big van guy. Now, I know this is a problem for this particular person. So, but here's a good example, right? You back up to a garage door. This is a very typical scenario I've ran into, right? If you're looking at this picture, right, look at where the door is placed. It's in the center, right? It's in your grunting zone, right? It's in the belly area. It's in the muscular arm area. So it's easy to slide out and bring into the garage door or into the garage itself. Now, what I've experienced with trucks, right? Typically, you guys are all big macho men, right? You're the Hulk Hogan's, and you end up deciding, well, I got to get me a big 3/4 ton, or I got to get me a big 1 ton. And so what you do is you put it on that top rack, right? And now that truck is a 3/4 ton, it's super high. And I mean, you might as well, right? You got to have 4-wheel drive, right? To be a real man's truck. So what happens if you looked at this right now? This is a 3/4 ton van. If that door was on top and you go to back up to the customers, trying to get that garage door off the top of that truck right now, or van if you had a rack, I guess, but why would you? You're going to run into the header, right? So you're going to have to pull a van out, you know what I mean? And it's a pain. So these you can back right up really pretty close. You can back almost right up to the header. You can unload your doors. It's less steps. It's less physical labor. Just something I thought you should know. Oh, just doing a little brainstorming here too. Here's one of my really long trailers I built pretty much from scrap. I had very little money. This trailer made me a lot of money over the years. And I really enjoyed it. It was really narrow. It's about 4 foot wide-ish. It would run about, I think it was rated about 20 feet long, real narrow, just real easy to pull. And you can get to the sides. I did, just as a side note, I did have an employee. I don't know how, but somehow he was lifting over the side and he broke a rib. I don't know why he didn't drop the garage door, but supposedly he did break a rib and he had a little bit of time off. So, maybe this isn't the best option either, right? But with a trailer, it's a little bit nimble. Maybe you can get a little closer than you can if you got a truck or a van, and you can get to both sides. So just something to think about. This was always kind of one of our backup trailers that was kind of like for more heavy duty stuff that we had. You can see it's a flatbed. We used it for all kinds of stuff, fencing, garage doors. But, I never really liked hauling garage doors like this. It was, I was always worried about the load shifting. I was worried about, you can see all the cardboard is tattered off of it. It just never felt really good. Your track is always kind of bouncing around. You always worry it's going to fall off the trailer and maybe, kill somebody or hurt somebody or damage a vehicle behind you. So, I don't know if this is the best idea, but like I said, you do what you got to do in a pinch and when you got to make baby money. And don't forget, get in those comments. Like I said, let me know how you do it. I've done it so many different ways. I don't know if I have a better way. Like I said, I might be not seeing something, but like I said, you let me know. It's always nice to have options. Every situation is different. That's what's kind of unfortunate sometimes about the garage door business. Sometimes it's a blessing because the job's never the same. It changes it up every day. But the conditions, the weather, the terrain, you can see obviously here, the trailer works great because obviously there's concrete in the garage, but there's not concrete out of the garage. So the trailer just pulled right up in there and you're able to kind of swoop them out. And so this worked good for this application. So this big old beast of a truck, it brings back a lot of memories. So for instance, right, when you go above your head like that too, you take the chance of kinking the door, actually making the door go in half because you have a tendency to slide it off because you're not tall enough, right, to handle, unless you're like 7 foot, you don't have enough reach. And so you'll lean the door back. And even if you go to put a piece of dunnage up there, a piece of garbage, garage door, an old chunk of wood or whatever, right, there's an edge to it. So as you bring that door off and see, this is actually a perfect example. See how tall that ladder rack is? Right, I have to stay away from that garage so much so I can tip them in there, right, because it's up so high. So it's just, I'm telling you guys, I really just, if you're looking to be serious and get into it and really hardcore and put in, 10, 12, 14, 17 hours a day, the truck is not the way to go. But you'll kink them Sometimes you got to take them apart too, right? You got to put them up there section by section. You got to rewrap them. That's a real pain in the butt. Then you got the wind. You don't know what's going on up there. You can't visually see it. You don't have nothing blocking it. They're just in the elements. I'm just saying. Just remember, guys, you don't have to start out with a lot of money. You know what I mean? You can have a little SUV, you can have a car. If you're smart about things and how you get stuff delivered by the vendor, there's so many options. You hire somebody, right? Have a friend with a pickup truck or something like that. And like I said, this is an old little fishing trailer, and this little dandy worked really good. It's really light to pull. It's really easy. It's very nimble. You just got to be careful. You got to strap. I put a piece this is actually some old dunnage, right? Some old garage doors in the bottom, so I could haul some door sections on there. It just gets you out of a jam. And don't forget your spare. And sometimes if garage doors are just getting too heavy, sometimes we just have to ask for help. You know what I mean? Maybe it's a little bit of a haircut. Maybe we got to talk to the boss, or we have to reconsider ourselves that, we got to get some help. There's just nothing wrong with that. It's actually a great thing. It's a blessing to be able to teach the younger generation and show them the ropes. And they're great to have as an assistant. And maybe it's just something too. We just have to, possibly ask that when we go to load and unload that we have help. And then after that, we're okay. Because once we get the sections tore apart, right, in the garage on sawhorses, they're not as bad, right? It's always nice. Every situation is different. If the garage door is really tight in there and a lot of stuff in the way, it's still nice to have an extra set of hands, especially, 16 by 7, 16 by 8s, 18 by 8s, stuff like that, insulated windows, all that good stuff. And like I said, you guys let me know. I've sliced and diced it so many different ways. I don't even know which way's up or down anymore. I just, you can see I've used the Rangers to keep them lower, better on gas. I've used the big old pickup trucks. The big old pickup trucks, really, I did not like at all. But like I said, just things to consider. I do have one more idea, and let's talk about it. So possibly this is another option. I never did this with a van, right? But if you can imagine, right down here, right where the mouse is, there's an extension, right, that goes in your hitch. And then there's a piece of dunnage on there. It looks like another Wayne Dalton 9000 series. Anyways, so, if you opened up your doors to a certain extent and got it extended out, maybe you could get that a little farther in the garage, right, to help you slide them off a little more elevated. They're laying flat. You can cut them open. You can take them out section by section. But I thought the extension might be an idea. I've never done it in a van. I've done it a lot in the truck. But if you could lay it down, but you always got to be careful. I was always nervous in a van that if you laid doors down and you got hardware in there, hinges and whatnot, those things fall off and hit the top and damage them. So it might be something you want to put a piece of dunnage on the bottom and put a piece of dunnage on the top and sandwich them. Otherwise, like I said, rip the doors open if you can, section by section. I know it's a pain, but you can take them out, bring some gloves maybe so you don't get them all dirty, so you can grab them however you want. You can really manhandle them, and I don't know, just an idea. Just another view of that bed extension, and I always try to center the load. It seems like every time if you don't center the load, and those things can shift on you. So you got to be careful around corners, especially stacking stuff this high. So I always do the center. It seems like that's where the pressure point's the best. That's where it's the sweet spot. You try to do it off to the side, you can run into problems. But if you have a trailer with grooves in it, you can sandwich them that way. You can run through the grooves, but obviously on a truck bed here, we can't do that. So, and then don't forget, I think it's 3 foot, at least in Michigan. Anything past tailgates or the taillights, 3 feet, you got to have them flagged. So just put flags on it. Don't get pulled over by Johnny Law because of a stupid flag issue. Put flags, put a lot of flags on it, just be safe. So with that, my friends, that's all I got for you. Please put in the comments, and just remember, if I can do it, you can do it. So, you know what? Keep your fingers, and let's get to work.